Okay, welcome to the Strange North channel. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite places to stop when I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and that is Glitch Gifts and Novelties. I'd highly recommend stopping here if you're visiting Saskatoon or even passing through, especially if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and paranormal. So Glitch is located on 33rd Street in Saskatoon. It's fairly central, but it's not part of the main central core of downtown and Broadway, and 33rd Street in general is just not quite as well known as some of the busier areas of the city. And it's just a great little collection of quality small businesses in one of the oldest areas of Saskatoon. So Glitch Gifts was opened in 2015 by the very affable Mike Ehrman, a guy who's had a lifelong interest in the strange and mysterious elements of life.
So I've been going about 9 years now, and basically it's a lifelong dream of just being into bizarre, weird stuff, pop culture, shopping and traveling. Kind of always wished we had a store like this, and we never have. So now I don't have to go to Vancouver to find a cool store like this.
And this is a gift and novelty shop with an incredibly wide range of items. Honestly, if you're visiting Saskatoon and you want a gift or souvenir of some sort, there are two places you should go. I've already mentioned Hard Pressed Clothing in Riversdale. They have an excellent collection of Saskatchewan themed clothes. But I'd also definitely recommend stopping by Glitch Gifts. There's literally something for everyone in the shop, and it's just hard to walk away from here empty-handed. And Glitch also features the handiwork of many local talented artists, including one in particular that I personally love that I'm going to cover in more detail at the end of this video. And then a few years after he opened his gift shop, Mike opened up the separate Glitchy's Oddities museum, which is attached to the store. And this type of place is something you'll find a lot more in the US. I've talked to Mike about the origins of the store and Oddities museum, and he's largely been inspired by things like dime store museums and roadside attractions that you'll more commonly find south of the border. Places that essentially celebrate the strange, mysterious, and paranormal elements of folklore and legend.
There's a lot of, yeah, that's true, because I road trip through the States, or I used to a lot, and every little town you go through just has this weird little museum, you know, and I can't even think of one in particular, to be honest, because there's so many.
Sure.
But everywhere you go, every little town's got this bizarre little museum somewhere in the back, or the stores have, you know, the bizarre taxidermy and things like that, and oddities. So something you don't really see a lot in Canada, and maybe especially in Western Canada.
In decades past, there used to be these establishments known as curio shops, which is short for curiosity shops, and they used to be a lot more common across North America. As an example, when I was researching cryptid legends in Alberta, I remember reading about a curio shop in Calgary in the 1930s, and it was said to be in possession of a large birdwing that many people said belonged to the legendary Thunderbird of folklore. And these curio shops would specialize in strange artifacts, and they're just not as common anymore. And then when you opened the museum, was it mostly your own collection? Or did you kind of gather from people beforehand?
It was probably mostly my collection, but how it came to be, I had a guy just come into the store once. I get weird people coming in just offering me bizarre stuff.
Okay.
And a guy came in and he said, "Do you want to buy this alligator? And I've also got these shrunken heads." And I was kind of like,
He just came in offering them.
Yeah, and,
wow.
And this was before we had the museum, so I was kind of like, I don't know what I would do with them. So I talked to my wife, and she's like, "Yeah, I think we should absolutely buy them, and we'll set up a display in the store." So we go and pick up these shrunken heads and the alligator, and he tells me he's not positive they aren't real. He thinks they aren't real, but he's not 100% positive. And I'm like, that's kind of perfect, actually.
Cool.
So yeah, and then we just kind of thought, let's set up a display. And next thing we knew, we were just like, we got this back room, let's do something with it. And so we gathered up a bunch of friends, my friend Dave Geary and a few other people, and we just pooled a bunch of things together. So I'd say probably half of it's mine, and maybe half of it's borrowed from about 4 or 5 different people.
But I just love places like this that help keep local legends and mysteries alive. And Mike definitely has a fun and balanced approach to the Oddities Museum in his shop. Some displays are tongue-in-cheek and not meant to be taken seriously, and they were created in the spirit of fun. But other items definitely have more of a dark, serious, and paranormal vibe.
I've always wanted my own little weird museum as much as the shop, and it's been a real dream come true for me. And it's cool that people in Saskatoon are really enjoying it. You know, you put something like this out there, and you just never know really what's going to happen and who's going to enjoy it. But yeah, I can show you around a little bit.
Please, that would be great.
One of our the two-headed calf here, actually, we got them in probably 3 years ago now, I think. The museum's probably about 6 years old, but we always had this vision, the two-headed calf has to be in the middle, and it took about 3 years to finally come up and get one. We had it donated anonymously from a farm in Saskatchewan. And my nieces actually did the taxidermy, which I think is amazing.
Oh, no way.
So the two-headed calf, that's one of my all-time favorite things. But we've got, lots of These are the shrunken heads that I spoke about, and these guys here, I believe, are, I would say, what sparked the entire museum.
Right.
But then we just kind of, you know, filled in all these little gaps with we've got little Egyptian, you know, trinkets, and we've got some, we made this little atom bomb kind of nuclear display with a little bit of, even just like kind of somewhat ordinary things like the uranium blast with the light, and people love it. I've also always loved toys, and I've always been kind of curious also growing up in the Cold War era, what did Soviet kids play with when we were playing with He-Man and G.I. Joe? And they're kids in the 80s even were playing with those toys that look like something from the maybe 40s here, you know. But they're really cool, and we actually am fortunate enough to have gotten my hands on, this is about 100-year-old dental x-ray machine. It's 100% decommissioned and safe. It's been cleared by an x-ray technician, in case anybody's worried about that when they come in. Probably our most popular exhibit would be Sophie the Haunted Doll, which has quite a harrowing story. You can go on our website and find out all about that. It's a long story, but quite a haunted doll, and I do get a lot of people come in, and some people say I'm a psychic medium and that doll is so haunted, and then I get some people saying I kind of don't get anything from it. But we also have a bunch of dolls down in this cabinet at the bottom, and that is an area where I almost unanimously get people come in and say something's really haunted down in that corner, and I get real dark, scary vibes in that corner. So something down there might be even more haunted than Sophie. Yeah, I've got an affinity for the weird haunted dolls too. I don't know where all this comes from. I grew up watching horror movies, and I think that's probably where a lot of this comes from. That and a lot of the things too. My dad would, when we were kids on road trips, we'd drive by these cool museums a lot, and my dad would never let us go. And I think that just really grew this like taboo, almost like I need to see what's in these museums. And when I finally did, it was just, yeah, it was like most kids' trip to Disneyland. Mine was seeing my first two-headed calf. Over here we've got my good friend Dave Geary has on loan an actual cast of a Bigfoot footprint from Skeena River, BC, from the Bob Titmus discovery. And beside it we've got a size 22 Nike, which is what Shaquille O'Neal wears, just kind of as a fun sort of juxtaposition there and comparison. We also have another crowd pleaser down here. We have the world's largest cheesy.
And who brought that in?
And so I had a customer in one day, and he just came in one day and he said, I was eating a bag of cheesies the other day, and I pulled out the biggest cheesy I've ever seen, and I knew immediately where it belonged in a museum. And he brought it to me, and it's like the greatest thing ever. It is a huge cheesy. I like it. Actually, that's a real crowd pleaser. Also on loan is we've got the dried llama fetuses from the witch market in Bolivia, and those are on loan. I wish I owned those, but I don't.
Where did you get those from?
And they're on loan from a business, another person here on 33rd Street. I'm not sure if he wants me to say who donated them, but yeah, those are on loan from a friend here on 33rd Street. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, just all kinds of fun little trinkets and lots of little things with a Saskatchewan twist. We have a lot of real local vibes. We've got some little stories and pieces from crop circles in Saskatchewan, and lots of just strange, macabre, and voodoo, and things like that. I have had, and I think Dave was with me once, where I was like, I swear I heard a footstep out there, but I must have been hearing things, and Dave was kind of like, I heard that too. Do you remember that, Dave? And so sometimes when I'm working in the back, I swear I hear footsteps in here. We also have this wind chime hanging out here, and one day I was here and those were just tinkling away, and there's no way that should be happening, and it was at night and everyone was closed and I was here working, and so not a lot, but I have had some weird little things like that, but nothing nefarious or scary.
And so as you can see, this is a very fun and unique place to visit when you're in Saskatoon, and places like this are really not that common in Canada, especially in the prairies. I mean, you do have the Museum of Fear and Wonder near Bergen, Alberta, and I'm going to do a video on that place next year. Unfortunately, that place is only open to the public during summer months. But the Oddities Museum at Glitch definitely has more of a wide and comprehensive variety of displays. Virtually everyone that visits this place finds something that interests them. And I wanted to end the video by mentioning another guy who helped in the development of the Oddities Museum, museum, and that is Dave Geary. Dave is a very well-regarded artist and historian in Saskatoon, and just a really interesting dude in general. I definitely want to interview Dave on video, or maybe just do a podcast with him down the road. He has a lot of stories that I'm sure many of you would enjoy. I found this quote referring to Dave Geary on comicbookdaily.com. Quote, "Geary was one of the most prolific self-published underground creators in Canada during the 1970s, and is responsible for the development of the comic book scene in the Prairie provinces, first as a creator and later as a teacher/mentor." End quote. Dave was also one of the first underground creators in Canada to achieve a significant following in the US, and he has been involved in countless creative and historical projects throughout the country. For example, in 2017, in commemoration of Canada's 150th anniversary, Dave Geary and another Saskatoon artist named Henry Lau created the Fraser Giant, which is a 20-foot long sturgeon sculpture made of stainless steel that sits in front of the Richmond City Hall in BC. Dave Geary also has an interest in the paranormal and mysterious aspects of folklore and legend. One of my personal favorite Dave Geary artifacts that I feel very fortunate to have is the 1992 edition of a fake publication that he created called Saskatoon Fringe News, which was created very much in the same style as the Weekly World News tabloid. And Dave has been involved in many creative projects like this in Saskatoon. And I'm just a big fan of Dave Geary in general, and you can find an excellent collection of his artwork at Glitch Gifts. It incorporates elements of Saskatchewan folklore, legend, and culture. Like I said, Dave's an interesting guy, and I want to interview him or do a podcast with him down the road. And I would definitely recommend his art in particular if you're looking for a souvenir or gift. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. If you're visiting Saskatoon or even just passing through, I would definitely recommend stopping by Glitch Gifts and Oddities Museum. I hope you found this one interesting and informative. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee, and the link to that is in the description. And if you haven't already, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I typically upload something new at least once a week. Thank you for watching, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.